Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 80 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them. Available on YouTube and most places podcasts can be found. Housekeeping is look out for some more content coming from us in the next week or so.
But before that, maybe.
What? Oh, but before that,
I don't know. Maybe the hosts have changed. No. Go ahead.
No. Oh no. As always, I'm your host Erroll Moss with my co-host, the phenomenon from Suriname, Jason Corder.
Hey.
And it always happens. That either doesn't happen at all, and I don't notice, or it happens, and you're like, wait.
Nah, it's fine.
Hang on. What I was going to say was our housekeeping is we have an interview coming up with an interview with a comic book artist that I did the other day. Who is the comic book artist? How are they related to Japanese video games? Stay tuned to find out. That should be up next week, and I do plan on doing some Pokemon Snap streams again with my buddy Andrew next week if we can figure out a schedule for them.
Cool.
So yeah. More on that later. We're gonna get right into the Japanese games we've been playing. So I'm still playing Monster Hunter Stories 2.
Mm-hmm.
I am now doing these trials in a post-game area called the Elder's Lair. Like, the first trial was to defeat 6 high-rank versions of specific monsters, and the last battle I had to do was fighting a pink Rathian and an azure Rathalos at the same time. Not too hard, but can sound pretty intimidating. And then the second trial is you had to break the claws and body of 6 monsters and sever the tail, or no, was it seven bodies, and then sever 6 tails, and it didn't count if you lost, so you'd have to defeat the monster. So I got past that. I'm on the third trial now, where you have to beat a Cephadrome within 5 turns, and I'm really struggling because I'm barely doing any damage to it. But I was looking up some advice online, and some people said to use this lightning monster. Another person said, use an ice weapon plus go get this party member, like an ice / weapon, and this specific party member because they do slash damage. So I got that party member, and now I'm just trying to find some high rank monsters in the ice area so I can make a big ice greatsword.
Okay.
Doing a little extra grinding along the way. Been doing some online co-op with randoms just so I can get high rank material a little easier.
So are you playing this kind of in the similar vein as the main Monster Hunter, where you do end game content to get better gear? Or are you just filling time before the next game you play comes out?
Well, I already have. So I have Scarlet. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but I've been playing a little bit of Scarlet Nexus as well, and then I have Neo: The World Ends With You, but I want to watch the anime series first.
Yeah, that was recommended, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So it's not like, and for August, my schedule is actually pretty much clear.
Okay.
Because I'm not really interested in No More Heroes 3 or anything else.
Interesting.
So I'm going to be catching up on my backlog a little bit.
Okay.
But right now, no, it's just kind of getting better armor, and I want to get access to, because the trials, after you beat those trials, you get access to a different layer that has like super powerful monsters that I think otherwise some of those monsters you would only encounter in super high rank rare dens, which don't appear often at all. I found one once, and I got really lucky, because I snuck in, picked up a Kirin egg, got out, didn't have to fight anything. Haven't seen one since.
Are you then also going to be juggling this with Monster Hunter Rise when that eventually gets new content? or are you?
Probably no. Probably not.
Okay.
I haven't played Rise in a long time, and my friends who played Rise haven't played Rise in a long time. So it might be one of those things where I switch off, like at some point, or I might put Stories 2 down for a bit at a certain point, possibly soon.
Okay.
Until maybe some of the updates come out. I think 1 is coming pretty soon, actually.
For Rise?
No, for
Stories
2.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe there is a new monster coming next month. For Stories 2.
Okay.
And then I've been playing a little bit of Scarlet Nexus, which the game is fine for the most part, but the thing is, it's not quite as stylish action as I thought it was. It's much more action RPG. Which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little different than I expected. Not just that, but all the basic movement is locked behind brain points, which are like your ability points or whatever. And they have like the double jump and the dash and not evade, but the, what do you call it? Air recovery?
Okay.
Like that kind of stuff is all locked behind a couple like if it was the first stuff you could unlock, it would be okay. I'd be a little more okay with it, but the fact that you have to unlock a few things before getting those is a little bit annoying. But it doesn't take long to get.
But does it hamper your exploration and combat abilities?
I don't think so. No, personally, I don't
it's
think
not a big deal in the grand scheme of things.
No, it's a little bit. It's a minor inconvenience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing that's getting me right now is the map is kind of confusing because there will be a waypoint, but it'll be kind of unclear whether you go up or down or around something. So I'll get stuck.
Yeah.
Because like right now I'm at a part where there's like a fence, and I know I have to go on the other side of that fence. But when I tried to go around, it wouldn't let me, and I'm like,
you
that's
can't
weird.
go around. You have to use one of the partner abilities. I think it's the phase or the speed ability to.
I have 2 guys. It's like a capture the flag mission, and I have an invisibility guy, and I think I don't know what the other guy does. I assumed it was lightning because it was like a yellow thing, but I'm not.
Yeah,
sure. Maybe it's that guy's ability.
Try that.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Because in the demo there was a bit where you play as Yuito, and there's a gated fence that you have to move past, but you can't because there's no way around it. And then I finally thought, hey, maybe I should experiment with one of the abilities, and that's how I got through it.
Yeah, that's probably what I need to do. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention because I was talking to my friends at the same time. So who knows if I just wasn't paying attention to something somebody said.
No, it's never stated, or at least in the demo, it was never stated. It's something you have to figure out on your own.
I also noticed a localization error.
Okay, is it?
They said it was just a small thing, and it said it was something about like saving at the base or something, and instead of your, it said you, so they just missed a letter there.
Oh, I wanted to ask you this. When it comes to Japanese games, on which platform are you playing?
Depends on the game.
How so?
I mean, like for World Ends With You, I'm playing that on PS4. And then for Scarlet Nexus, I'm playing that on Xbox because that just seemed like most games, Japanese games at this point, if they're on Xbox, I'm probably going to play them on Xbox.
Is there a specific reason behind that?
Just because they usually tend to... it seems like they usually tend to run better and look better.
Okay.
If only slightly.
So I was thinking about this because there are a few games on sale and a few games that are coming out. Like, for example, Judgment is around $25 now on either PlayStation or Xbox. And I was thinking, I haven't played this yet. And there's also like Dragon, which I haven't played yet.
I mean... if you have Game Pass...
No, that is true, but
I'd say wait on Judgment just in case.
No.
And then after Lost Judgment comes out...
The thing about Game Pass is I might not have time for the duration of the subscription that I can really count on. So if the subscription lapses and I never get to play the game, I'm gonna be bummed. So I'd probably buy the full game outright and then have it whenever.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is fine. So I'm thinking about getting Judgment on Xbox because I also kind of feel like, hey, Xbox is really trying to get Japanese support. Maybe I should buy it on Xbox.
Yeah, that's part of what my whole thing is.
But then I'm also stuck with, okay, I'm playing it on either Series S or the PS5 because at a certain point the difference does become apparent between like 1080p and 4K. Not that it's a major difference, unless you're paying attention. But yeah, I'm mulling it over in my head. But I'm leaning towards Xbox these days.
Yeah. So otherwise, I haven't actually been playing all that much. Been watching a little bit of Godzilla Singular Point, almost done. Really fascinating. It kind of reminds me of like Shin Godzilla mixed with the Godzilla 98 animated series, mixed with a little bit of Steins Gate.
The Steins Gate comparison I see, the Shin Godzilla comparison I also see, because I was also thinking about that, especially with regards to the red fluid surrounding the kaiju.
Yes. Yes.
The evolution of the kaiju within the show.
Yes.
But the 98 Godzilla animated show, that's a
just because they're dealing with a variety of kaiju rather than one
like
specific
monster of
thing.
the week.
It's the least connected.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also because I watched the Godzilla 98 movie with some friends for the first time the other day, and that was
a trip.
That was entertaining.
Yeah.
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 Because like I was in kindergarten when that movie came out, and I remember it being like this huge thing, and then a huge disappointment.
Well, did it register as a disappointment to you back in kindergarten?
I never saw it when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I never saw it, and all the toy sales, and a lot of my friends at the time liked it. So, But yeah, so what have you been playing?
I've actually been playing no Japanese games this week or these 2 weeks.
Well, this is the last episode of no.
No,
Imagine.
It's kind of me not having the time for much, and me also putting all of my spare time into Divinity Original Sin 2, which does have a point to being Japanese related or not. I promise, because you remember the video I showed you or sent you from Game Maker's Toolkit about RPGs, how they are defined and how they came to be defined in Japan. So I regularly think about the origins of RPGs, about Tolkien, about ancient myths and legends, and how Dungeons and Dragons distilled that, and how eventually in Japan Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy distilled that. It's such a fascinating thing to think about how a certain group of tropes and settings get translated and retranslated and turned into things you wouldn't think about on the first try, but they are still connected in some way. Like The Legend of Zelda has RPG roots, Dark Souls has RPG roots, and you can all trace them back to Dungeons and Dragons in some way or fashion. And I think that's so
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, Dragon Quest. It's so fascinating. But
if you go back to wizardry, it kind of shows how one kind of influences the other.
Yeah.
Where like Western RPGs influence JRPGs, and then some JRPG stuff can influence Western RPG, like kind of like full circle. Well, now we're coming a little more full circle.
It still happens to this day because when Final Fantasy 15 was in development, I think The Witcher 3 already came out at that point. So Tabata and his team were looking at it and probably thinking like, whoa,
yeah, that makes sense.
This is possible with an open world. I wonder how much we can do within a Final Fantasy context.
Right.
But the thing I've been playing this week, Divinity Original Sin 2, which has been sitting in my backlog for years, which is kind of a thing for me these days where I have these great games in my backlog but never touch. So I'm trying to break the habit. But why I'm playing it now especially is because I've also played the Saga games in the months prior, and I'm struck by how similar they are in design and in what they're trying to accomplish. And so many things of RPGs that we bemoan have been figured out already, but maybe not in the way we think about or want to think about.
Right.
Because if I'm talking about RPGs or JRPGs, you have like a fixed image in your head, like say Dragon Quest Monsters or Dragon Quest proper. But if I say it's isometric, and that's because we are limited by the choices we want to present you, thus not having the highest fidelity, that might make you balk at that statement because you're expecting like this giant open world that you can interact with, but it's not in 3D. Or if it's Japanese, then it's not entirely open world as it's advertised. It's more linear because that's how they tell their stories. It's so fascinating to see how it's all connected and not connected at the same time. Really makes you think. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been playing Western games and thinking about Japanese game design at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is exhausting too, but fun.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty interesting, all right. I really want that book.
Mm-hmm.
The book by Bitmap, I think it is.
Bitmap
which
Games,
is like
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's like the JRPG, the guide to JRPGs or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was like, I think it was like a kind of limited release or something.
Speaking of books, the Encyclopedia Eorzea just got released or is up for pre-order.
Right. Re-released. Yeah. It's a re-release.
And I am seriously considering it because
so am I. You know, it's 2 volumes, $50 each.
Yeah, exactly. Which is generally affordable.
I still need to like finish reading my Monster Hunter World official complete works, and I really hope they do an Iceborne one. Because like before that, they only did like it was mostly illustrations, which is still cool, but it didn't go into
the design and
the
conceptualization.
And, such, yes. And of course, you know how much I love creature design, so. Anywho. Let's move on to the In From Japan J-List, recent video game related entertainment news. So first we have Gundam Seed Eclipse manga has launched online worldwide. This is by Kite Stenbuck for Siliconera. Sunrise has started publications of Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Eclipse worldwide. It has published official translations of the first half of the first episode in multiple languages, including English. Gundam Seed Eclipse tells a new story in Cosmic Era 72, the year between the original Seed and its Destiny sequel. It is available on YouTube in a motion comic format where picture panels and speech bubbles are displayed gradually. The Eclipse manga is one of Sunrise and Bandai's numerous new projects prepared to celebrate the upcoming 20th anniversary of the 2002 anime show Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. Bandai Namco is currently working on a new video game. The series' original director, Mitsuya Fukuda, will also supervise a new feature film with a continuation story to Gundam Seed Destiny. Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Eclipse is available to read in the monthly Gundam Ace manga magazine in Japan and bi-weekly on the Gundam Info YouTube channel worldwide. Sunrise will publish translations of the second half of the first episode on August 9th, 2021. Yeah. So, there you go, Gundam Seed fans.
There are dozens of us.
Then we have Pokemon live action series in early development at Netflix from Lucifer's Joe Henderson. This is from Variety by Joe Otterson. That's confusing. A new Pokemon series is in early development as Netflix. Variety has learned exclusively from sources. As the project is still in its early days, no details are available about the plot. However, sources say that Joe Henderson is attached to write and executive produce. Henderson currently serves as co-showrunner and executive producer on the popular Netflix series Lucifer, which is preparing to air its 6th and final season at the streamer. Sources also say that the project would be a live-action series akin to the Detective Pikachu film starring Ryan Reynolds and Justice Smith that was released in 2019. Reps for Netflix and Henderson did not immediately respond to Variety's request for comment. The move to develop an original Netflix Pokemon series comes as the streamer has made itself the home to multiple existing Pokemon shows, including Pokemon Indigo League. Not the full season of Indigo League, though, I believe, currently. They used to have all of it, but now they have, I think, about 50 episodes of it. And Pokemon Journeys, among others, which is the most recent Pokemon series. Netflix has also been making a strong push into anime in recent years, having previously announced original series based on Far Cry, Splinter Cell, and Terminator. Netflix has been moving into more live-action adaptations of anime titles as well, including the upcoming Cowboy Bebop and One Piece live-action shows. The streamer previously released a live-action Death Note film in 2017 that was not good. It could go either way.
Well, the creators like the Death Note movie.
Yeah, they said that now, but but you know, Akira Toriyama said he liked Dragon Ball Evolution when it first came out, and then later he changed his mind on that.
What are you gonna do?
But yeah, it could go either way. Hopefully, Detective Pikachu kind of makes them
set the blueprint.
Think about making a more quality. What?
Yeah. What do you expect out of it?
I don't know. Since we don't know anything about it, it's hard to expect anything. I've seen mixed things. I've seen people both excited about it and some people being a little more negative about it. Like, oh, well, Netflix adaptations of anime have all been bad so far.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, come on, Cowboy Bebop isn't even out yet.
Let me put it this way. What do you want to see?
They never do this, but Tim Geddes brought up a good point of like, what if they did a live-action version of the Pokemon Adventures manga? I don't think they do that because I think they'd want to keep it more family-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you've read the Pokemon Adventures manga, but it gets pretty violent and dark.
Okay, but besides that, what else would you want to see?
I can't really think of anything. I could tell you what I don't want to see.
What don't you want to see?
A live-action version of the first season of the anime.
Oh,
or
gosh.
anything related to that.
Yeah, definitely not that.
I don't need anything about Ash Ketchum. Let him stay on his adventure in Pokemon Journeys. He has a good team right now. Leave him alone.
It also kind of expands the world if it's another protagonist in another part of the world. Or it could be like taking place in the antiquity, like in the upcoming Pokemon Legends game. Maybe something akin to that. That would be a good era of the history to explore. I see.
Right. What if they made the live action series more akin to the first season of the anime and older Pokemon games in the fact that instead of animals all being Pokemon, they did the weird thing that the old media used to do, where Pokemon and animals weirdly coexisted.
That's a choice. I mean,
yeah.
Who doesn't want to see a golden retriever next to an Arcanine?
It's interesting because Taco, streamer and artist, he talks a lot about how Gen 1 and Gen 2 are Pokemon, what did he say? He said like there
Pokemon next to real world.
There are world with Pokemon in them, while Gen 3 and onward are Pokemon worlds.
Yes, I do see that.
So it's very interesting. He talks a lot. Every once in a while he talks a lot about how how there's this. There was kind of this concept that they kind of changed over time. And there's actually a really good Did You Know Gaming video about the Lost Pokédex book.
I think it...
Which...
I
think I linked it.
Yeah, you did. I think a few weeks ago.
In recommended content a while ago. But it's a lot about that. And I just think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
To see how stuff changed
it's
like that.
probably because they wanted to have a mass appeal for their commercial product. So they streamlined it as much as possible that it's kind of more or less Disney-ified. And... not as controversial in some aspects.
Makes it a little confusing. It's like, wait, animal and Pokemon? How does that? Huh?
But I mean, it works. It works.
Although we still don't know if people eat Pokemon or not.
They do.
That's still
they do.
Next up, the last story on the J list. Anime Expo confirms return to live conventions for 2022. Decision announced as part of massive U.S. event's 30th anniversary. This is by Kara Dennison for Crunchyroll. Like the majority of events around the world lately, North American anime convention Anime Expo has taken their events online for the last year and a half. But the con will be coming back in person in 2022, as confirmed by a wrap-up press release sent around after this year's Anime Expo Lite. Anime Expo has been held over the 4th of July weekend since 1991, and the same went for Anime Expo Lite. This year, the fully online event was viewed by more than 375,000 times by fans in more than 100 countries. Viewers got to look in on performances by Leela from Love Live Superstar, Morphonica, Bang Dream, and many others, as well as getting a sneak peek of Star Wars Visions and watching interviews with many special guests. The event also raised $77,000 for the Hate is a Virus Community Action Fund. In the wrap-up report for its 30th anniversary event, Society for the Promotion of Japanese Animation CEO Ray Chiang said, "For the second year in a row, Anime Expo was held online due to the COVID pandemic, but we were gratified and amazed at the continued strong support we received from so many fans from around the world." He added that they are excited to announce the return of Anime Expo to the Los Angeles Convention Center on July 1st through the 4th, 2022, and to welcoming back all of our fans, exhibitors, and participants. Well, hopefully things are better by then.
Yeah.
If you're in the U.S., things are kind of shaky right now.
I mean, with the Delta variant and everything else, they probably want to...
Or, people...
and people being people.
People just being... stubborn.
Fingers crossed.
I just want conventions to be back and people to feel safer again, man.
One day.
Anyway.
One day.
Recommended content other than news from the past week listed out in the description. How Dragon Ball Super's Broly became the anime series Boba Fett by Will Harrisson for Polygon. I really like that title. Interview Behind the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles Localization by Keri Honea for Siliconera. 7 Things You Probably Didn't Know About Final Fantasy 1 through 3 by Kat Bailey. The Final Fantasy 1 through 3 pixel remasters are available on Steam and mobile now.
Yep.
According to our friend Lucas White, the mobile version does not currently have controller support.
Disappointing.
And our RPG site actually has a good piece on changing the font, because for whatever reason, there's a slightly better font for other language releases besides the English one. So if you go into the files and mess around a little bit, you can change the English font to that better one. Why they didn't do that? Why Square didn't do that themselves? Who knows?
Well, Lucas also tweeted out that there must be like this ultra specific reason why they didn't do it, because if the option is right there, why not just do it?
Yeah, it's very strange.
Oh, I think you missed which Japan only 3DS games still deserve localizations.
Oh yes, Yes.
by
I
the
did.
Siliconera
Also,
staff.
which Japan-only 3DS games still deserve localizations by Siliconera staff or Siliconera? Yeah, I accidentally scrolled a little too far. That's why.
Okay.
We have Karina Boager on voicing Genshin Impact's Paimon, TikTok culture, and acting with a disability by Jade King for The Gamer. And then we have Sexism within the gaming industry needs to change by Gemma LeConte for Gfinity. We don't. So I wanted to just briefly mention, like, I'm sure if you pay attention to video game news, you know about the awful Activision Blizzard stuff going on. And it needs to change. It's not just AAA studios. It's not just Western studios. The whole culture needs a big. We really need to try harder to change it. And this article has a lot of, there's this article. There are plenty of Twitter threads on what we can do to improve these situations and be better about them.
Yeah,
like especially as two men ourselves. I guarantee a lot of men have had to kind of learn and understand what behaviors are like toxic and objectifying, and like you really need to self-reflect on that.
Yeah.
And it's always good to self-reflect and kind of just modify your behavior to be better.
Yeah, friend of the show, Callie Plaggy, has a excellent thread on how to approach HR issues and how this also is related to the current situation with Activision Blizzard. And yeah, I wholly agree. Things need to change. People need to feel safe in their work environment. They need to be able to.
And this kind of stuff has been going on for way too long.
And it's not just in video games.
It's everywhere.
It's in probably every type of industry and every type of company and setting, be it school or social. The way we treat others is not as good as we'd like it to be, but we can change and we should change.
Yeah. But hopefully with the walkouts and the boycotting and such, hopefully we can start to enact some meaningful change.
Yeah.
Just listen to others and be considerate and always try to self-reflect and improve yourself. That's good general advice as well.
Yeah.
You're always constantly learning. Don't be a stubborn person who says no, it's not me, it's the children who are wrong, or just be willing to self-reflect and listen and improve yourself. All right. Anyways, sorry I had to get a little bit more serious there, but I thought it was important to at least mention, since it's not something we'd really cover. Although, like I said, it could happen in the Japanese game industry as well. We just don't hear about it as much.
I don't want to speak out of turn without having.
No, of course not. I'm just saying, like I said, it happens everywhere, and it's better we try hard to change the culture around it in general.
Yeah.
All right. Now on to the news rundown. I guess I'll let our bearer of bad news and Shinigami take it away.
Bankai.
With the baddish news.
So, to start off, we have Digimon Survive delayed to 2022 release window.
It never gets any easier.
This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. According to a financial report by Toei, Digimon Survive is now delayed until an unspecified 2022 release window. No official announcement has been made about the delay outside of the information disclosed through the report. Additionally, Toei Animation did not share the reason for the delay through its financial report. In October 2020, producer Kazumasa Habu stated that while not Nintendo, while Bandai Namco originally scheduled Digimon Survive 2020 release, the game would potentially be delayed. Fun fact, Nintendo does own some stock in Bandai Namco. This did happen when no details regarding a possible new release date. In the statement released by Habu, he revealed that the development schedule for Digimon Survive restarted. Outside of the financial report, there have been little to no updates regarding Digimon Survive or its current production schedule. No news is good news? Question mark. It's when E3 rolled around and there was no info on Bayonetta 3 or any of the other projects Platinum Games was working on, Hideki Kamiya kind of got frustrated and said, like, okay, you know what, it's fine, we're working hard, we just have nothing to announce. And I suspect it's also probably the same thing here. They're working on it, they just don't have anything of substance to announce. And I'm also thinking about something Jeff Grubb said with regards to the Metroid Prime trilogy update, where he said, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's probably a QA issue, with it being a pandemic and all, and Japan also suffering heavily under all these conditions, that QA and development took a massive hit during the pandemic, and game development as a whole has just become a bit slower, and release dates are being shifted from here to the near future because you just can't predict anything within these situations. So I'm sure they're working hard on it. We just need to let them be for now. You'll be fine. We all have massive backlogs. You'll survive. So yeah, that was the bad-ish news of the week.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. A lot of people are a little afraid this game is going to be either very disappointing or canceled just because it's been delayed numerous times. But I'm still holding out hope that it comes out and it's good. It's just, some games face production troubles.
There's no surefire recipe for a good video game. All good art takes time and goes through iteration, and sometimes it just falls apart because it's not fun enough, or something in the art design just isn't speaking to people it's trying to talk to. But art is hard. We should just let people have the room and support in the meantime, but we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Next up is the good-ish news. Tokyo Olympics used Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and Nier music in opening ceremony. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. Music from the Square Enix series such as Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Monster Hunter, and Sonic the Hedgehog were used during the 2021 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. Popular tracks from each of the games were used to introduce various Olympic teams during the opening ceremony. Shout out to Ryokucha 2089. Additionally, other series...
I saw... Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the name I was looking for earlier.
Okay. Yeah. Additionally, other series music were featured during the ceremony. Some of the selections included songs from the Chrono Trigger and Tales of series. Outside of music being used from Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts during the 2021 Olympics, songs from Ace Combat and Gradius were also featured. That's sure, why not? Yeah, so click on the article for the rest of the info. It was fun to see, as unfortunate as Olympics still being held in a pandemic are, but
the current, yeah. If we were completely through this pandemic and we saw and this happened, it would be a little different. Like, because I saw a lot of mixed things on like Twitter when this happened, where people are like, yeah, this is cool, but just it's it kind of to some people seems like a distraction from the fact that the Olympics are going on during a pandemic that Japan hasn't been handling that well, and the Olympic Committee hasn't been handling that well either.
Well,
it's interesting. I'm not trying to go.
The Olympic Committee is a crap show every now and then.
Yeah.
Especially when 3 top-ranking members have been shuffled out in the last year, I want to say, which speaks volumes. But it could also be, old conservative Japan culture. I also
saw that this isn't the first time video game music has been used for the Olympics. Like, they used some like Mario music during the Brazil Olympics a couple years back as well.
Yeah, I wanted to say I disagree with the assertion that it's a distraction, because for a music pick to be locked in for such a big official ceremony, it is probably has been locked in for quite a while now.
No, that's true.
You also have to pay.
That's true, because
the rights and have permission, all that stuff. So it's probably
which is the same reason. It's the same reason they're the anime characters.
Yeah.
As promoting the Olympics. It's because it was from like back in 2019.
Yeah, those details probably were locked in before the Olympics were set to premiere last year.
I'm just saying I saw mixed things about it. Mixed reactions about it.
I know. Saw them too. Next up, we have Final Fantasy 16 will have will feature full facial mocap using English voice actors. This is by Andrew Kia for Siliconera. At a certain point, we just might as well become the Siliconera / Gamatsu podcast. In a recent
we do other stuff sometimes.
I know, but I mean, by the volume of articles we source from.
Well, they're the best at covering. They're the best at covering Japanese games.
I know. I'm not complaining. In a recent live-streamed internet show, Washanaga, Final Fantasy 16 producer Naoki Yoshida revealed that the game is being filmed first with English voice actors. Final Fantasy 16 is also using full facial mocap to animate character expressions and dialogue. While the show was primarily about the Final Fantasy 14, or about Final Fantasy 14, without the definitive article, Yoshida, I'm just mistaking the copy. Yoshida gave a few new details into how the production of the upcoming title is going. On the topic of production of Final Fantasy 16, Yoshida revealed that the team specifically chose voice actors with English accents to play the game's characters. The Japanese film production, he said, will start soon. Soon. Interesting. Maybe the release isn't as imminent as I thought it was. But I digress. Furthermore, Yoshida states that many of the Final Fantasy 16 cutscenes will feature full facial mocap with voice actors playing out the characters while wearing special motion capture equipment. This means that, in contrast to Final Fantasy VII Remake's AI-generated facial animations and lip-syncing, the game will feature English-speaking voice actors with performance capture spoken in English similar to Final Fantasy 15. Additionally, Yoshida stated that for the past 8 years he has not been present at any filmings due to company policies. Since I'm working mostly in text, I tend to get very passionate and end up contradicting what the other director would say, Yoshida noted, stating that he would rather leave it up to those who are writing the scripts out of respect, which is a solid piece of advice. So yeah. I saw someone complain about this on Twitter, like, "Oh, they're prioritizing the English language. It's gonna fall apart and not be good for me." And I'm like, as opposed to the opposite, what does that even mean? Like, if they prioritize Japanese before English language, it's still the same end result because they're working from the same story. I just And Twitter people are weird. Next up,
people on social media are weird in general.
People in general are weird.
Yeah.
Next up is Babylon's Fall closed beta test dates and features revealed. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. Square Enix has shared details regarding the upcoming closed beta test for Babylon's Fall. This includes features players will be able to access, along with a brief Q&A section regarding how the closed beta test will function. Additionally, Square Enix confirms that progress from the closed beta will not be carried over into the main game. Boo! The closed beta test period will begin in Japan on July 29th, 2021. I suspect it's because it's kind of like an online game, that's why the data isn't being carried over. The North American one will begin on August 5th, 2021, with the European event scheduled for August 12th, 2021. Shout out to Famitsu. The time for the closed beta tests are as follows. In Japan, 6 p.m. Japan Standard Time to 5 a.m. Eastern Time, or /5 a.m. Eastern Time to 10 p.m. Japan Standard Time, or 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay, I'm just going to do the Eastern Time because it's easier for the Western audience. In North America, 9 p.m. Eastern Time to 9... Hey, that makes no sense. Like, they don't have the dates. So it's just... Okay, whatever.
I don't know, man. This game is weird.
No. I'm not talking about the game itself. I mean, the times for the closed beta. It's like they don't have the dates factored in. It's just 1 hour given to another hour given. It's just confusing. Anyway.
But no day? That's weird.
Yeah. Anyway, you'll know soon enough. You can sign up for the closed beta on the website. So if it strikes your fancy, maybe do that. I did.
Yeah.
No idea if it'll be any good, but I did. Next up is Gundam Bonds of the Battlefield 2 releases with 22 mobile suits. This is by Guy Stenbuck for Siliconera. Bandai Namco has released Mobile Suit Gundam Bonds of the Battlefield 2 in Japan. This title is a full-fledged sequel to the long-running arcade game, which is also known in Japan as Senjou no Kizuna. Bonds of the Battlefield is an arcade shooter game with... I don't know why I had a slight Boston accent there, but okay. Bonds of the Battlefield is an arcade shooter game with a cockpit-shaped cabinet. Okay, that's cool. It makes players feel like they're actually piloting a mobile suit from the Gundam franchise. The sequel adds more new features like the deck system that lets players choose another mobile suit in the same stage and the ability to customize the mech's part colors. Kind of reminds me of the Episode 1 Raytrade arcade cabinet. This is probably the coolest arcade cabinet ever. Maybe.
Yeah. And I wish I could get one.
It's probably going to cost $1,000 with all the shipping and import fees.
Probably more than... that's pretty cheap. I think it would be a lot more than that. But maybe someday. Also probably takes up a lot of power. My electricity bill.
Yeah.
Next up, Monster Hunter Rise Okami collaboration begins July 30th. So by the time this episode is out, it should be out. Receive the Palamute layered armor set Ami costume. This is by Saruman Fukamatsu. Capcom will launch an Okami collaboration in Monster Hunter Rise starting July 30th, the company announced. Users who clear the event quest will receive the Palamute layered armor set Ami costume, which is themed after Okami's Amaterasu. Monster Hunter Rise is available now for Switch and due out for PC in early 2022. And there's a trailer. This is such an obvious obvious not in a bad way, obvious in the way that like, oh, of course they did that. Like people weren't quite thinking about it maybe, and they're like, wait, dog, Capcom, other dogs, Okami, of course.
It's like it's been right under our nose the entire time, and now it's finally being shown.
I was talking to my friend the other day about it. It's like, I don't know why I didn't think of that because it was pretty obvious. But yeah, that's cool. It might get me back into Monster Hunter Rise just to get that costume real quick. And just maybe do a few other quests too. And in addition to that, Monster Hunter Rise version 3.2.0 to add weekly event quests. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. Capcom released more information regarding Monster Hunter Rise version 3.2.0 with a look at what this latest update patch brings to the game. This includes more than a handful of bug fixes and the addition of weekly event quests. Other notable additions include Arabic language support. New DLC is also available to purchase. However, this new DLC content is a simple sticker set. Notable bug fixes include the bug that prevented players' controls from working when rapidly pressing A while ordering a motley mix at the canteen. Bug fixes limited to monsters included an issue where the Apex Mitsuzune would use its breath attack even when downed. Oh boy. Another major fix that arrives through the Monster Hunter Rise version 3.2.0 patch includes an issue where Crimson Glow Valstrax would not receive damage during specific animations. Other fixes mostly concern the user interface or movement-related issues. The official website has detailed these bugs in full. Additionally, while Monster Hunter Rise version 3.2.0 brings weekly event quests, there has been no elaboration as to what these could potentially be. The official Monster Hunter Rise Twitter account has also revealed that at least 3 more layered armor sets from Capcom properties will be available sometime in the future. So yeah, people can get back into Rise for a little while.
Yeah, I have been
with some new stuff.
Thinking about it as of late. Like, that was a game I played this year. Like,
right?
I should get back to it at some point.
Right? It didn't have the staying power that World did, I feel like.
I don't think it's that, in so much that
I think that's a part of it.
There is so much other stuff these days. Good stuff. Like, we have a wide variety of things to choose from, and if you're as fortunate as some of us are with multiple consoles or platforms, your time is so split among other things that you just don't have time to dedicate to a live service game. Despite how good it is. Like, for example, I have Destiny 2. I haven't played actively in months. Like, the beginning of the year was the last time I actively played it. And it's just sitting there, and I paid for that game. The same as Rise, which I also paid for and haven't touched in a few months. And then there's also Animal Crossing, which I haven't touched. And I hope my villagers are still alive. So yeah, it's more of, there's so much good variety of games out there than Monster Hunter Rise not having the staying power of Monster Hunter World. But yeah, I could be wrong. Next up is Capcom reports highest first quarter sales of all time. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Siliconera. Capcom has revealed that the company officially achieved its highest first quarter sales of all time through a new press release. The press release states that this is a record level high for the company. Additionally, the press release reveals that this is largely, in part due to the success of Resident Evil Village and Monster Hunter Rise. Shout out to Nibel. See, people do it like Rise. Net sales for Capcom are up 104%. Like, wow, that's a lot of percent. And operating income is up by 120%. Jeez. Like, did we all collectively go out the door and buy Capcom stuff? Largely in part to digital sales. Okay, maybe not go outside, but digital sales. As mentioned previously, Monster Hunter Rise and Resident Evil Village are the main contributors to the overall success of Capcom's first quarter sales. Resident Evil Village currently sits at 4.5 million units sold worldwide, and Monster Hunter Rise is officially Capcom's best-selling single-platform title. A PC version of Monster Hunter Rise is scheduled to release sometime in early 2022. Capcom, hear me out. Breath of Fire RPG. When?
No, Breath of Fire has been put into the Teppen zone now.
No.
Just like Darkstalkers.
Bring it back.
And just like Darkstalkers and Sengoku Basara, they're in the Teppen zone now. It's better than nothing, but it's not new game. You can at least play the old Breath of Fires on Nintendo Online.
Yes, and I also have, I think, Breath of Fire 4 on my PlayStation Vita TV, which I haven't touched because, ever stopping.
It's a dust collector.
Ever stopping backlog. So yeah.
Yeah. The everlasting backlog.
Yeah, the everlasting backlog.
Next up is PAX West now requires proof of vaccination or negative COVID test, and that difference matters. Reversing a prior decision, the show was tightening up some rules, but is it actually far enough? This is by Imran Khan for Fanbyte. And there's a reason I did this one instead of just the hard news of that. Oh, it just requires that. So earlier today, ReedPop, the events company behind worldwide gaming conventions like PAX, announced that they are reversing an earlier position to not require vaccinations at their PAX West show in September, the first of its kind since the COVID pandemic firmly took hold in 2020. Previously citing optimism in vaccination numbers, which plummeted soon after, the company believed that requiring proof of vaccination, despite rising COVID numbers and an emerging variant, was going to too much effort. It's the reason we decided not to go to PAX this year. Fanbyte. He's referring to Fanbyte. Now, PAX has changed their tune, but the phrase too little too late is extremely applicable. That's exactly what I was going to say. Prior to entry, we will now require proof of a completed COVID-19 vaccination series or a negative COVID-19 PCR or antigen test, each to be verified with a valid government-issued ID. ReedPop Global Gaming Event Director Kyle Marsden-Kish wrote in a statement, "Proof of vaccination is great. That means people who are attending are relatively protected against the virus. It tells the attendees that the person next to them more than likely is not hosting the virus and, in the number-defying event that they are, is not going to be too much of a problem for them or the immunized person next to them. A negative COVID test, though, it doesn't actually do any of that. It means that person does not have COVID at the moment they took their test. There's way less security there, to the point where that little add-on on the new guidelines undermines the entire change. This is like a step in the right direction. I don't want to argue that. It's also clearly a cynical pivot based on the fact that PAX tickets, in which availability was once measured in minutes but this time have been on sale for weeks even for a limited capacity event, but the gears of capitalism grinding out a compromised good result isn't anything new. But it all stops short of being actually effective. This is one of those situations where reacting to the news feels like a no-win situation because it's so middling. Great, they made a change. Oh no, the change did not go far enough. Now no one's happy. That said, this statement from the press release kind of pissed me off. This Imran said that, not me. When PAX West 2021 badges were announced, the PAX team made the decision to communicate what we could commit to at that time, rather than what we were working toward. Marsden Kish wrote, while we let the community know the health and safety guidelines could evolve, we wanted to get it right, and we feel confident that verification of full vaccination or negative test, along with continued face covering requirements for everyone, will create an environment that promotes the well-being of our PAX community. Pretending that their main error was that they were still thinking about their policies a month ago and somehow accidentally blurted out the wrong guidelines is insulting to everyone's intelligence. You guys probably could have made a statement that didn't make you look like a craven idiot just fine. Also food for thought. I believe Imran Khan is himself, I think he's talked about it before, has an immunocompromised condition. I believe. I know he's talked about it before.
Okay. So good context.
So I thought it was good to get his point of view specifically on this.
Okay.
Because he used to go to conventions all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah, and, then people got the PAX plague, which is a different kind of sickness that, in retrospect, it's thought of fondly these days. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I still have a few friends thinking about attending PAX West. I don't know if that'll change. Most of the people who would usually go that I know do not feel safe going.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I don't really either. And I also, not just that, but I don't want to, like, I'm vaccinated, but I don't want to give any, but, like, end up, spreading this disease to someone through, like, somebody who was on my flight or, all that. And, like, I have friends who are immunocompromised, and I don't want to, end up spreading it to them or anything. Anyways, like we always say at the end of the podcast, wear a mask, wash your hands, please, for the love of everything, please get vaccinated.
I mean, if you can, because
if you can, if you don't have any actual medical reasons not to get it.
As always refer to your doctor and medical experts.
Yes. But yeah, it's unfortunate. The nice thing is PAX West, we'll probably get an indie Nintendo Direct, and that'll be digital, so we can all enjoy that. Gotta look at the bright side sometimes,
Yeah.
Next up, Earth Defense Force 2017 for Switch. Oh, actually, one more thing. Gary Whitta actually has been very vocal about this stuff. Like on Kind of Finding Games Daily the other day, he was saying stuff about it. So he does a lot of good stuff. That's all I'm saying. It just kind of felt. I'm just saying for people like kind of been struggling like I've been struggling a little bit with mental health recently just because of the whole situation. It's good to have people with rather large platforms trying to encourage people to get vaccinated. Imran too,
Yeah.
because we got to do what we can.
Yeah.
Anywho, again, sorry, man, this is such a heavy episode. It's about parts. Next up, something that is the opposite of heavy. Earth Defense Force 2017 for Switch launches October 14th in Japan. Currently available on Xbox 360 and PlayStation Vita. This is by Saruman for Gamatsu. The Switch version of Earth Defense Force 2017 will launch on October 14th in Japan, the latest issue of Weekly Famitsu reveals. Earth Defense Force 2017 first launched for Xbox 360 in December 2016, followed by PlayStation Vita in September 2012. The Switch version is based on the PlayStation Vita port. Wait. That's weird.
What?
Earth Defense Force 2017 first launched for Xbox 360 in December 2016.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't something sound weird to you about that statement?
It being 2016?
Yeah, the Xbox One had been out for a couple years at that point.
Let's look it up. It could be a misprint.
It could be a mistake, yes.
Earth Defense Force. Let's have a look. See, 2017. Okay. That was Earth Defense Force 5, colloquially known as Earth Defense Force 2017, I think. Right?
No, Earth Defense Force 5 is something else.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
I got it.
No, it was... Okay, so it was originally released in 2006.
No. So the title is Earth Defense Force 2017.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's different from the Earth Defense Force that released in 2017.
That came out in 2017. Yes.
Okay.
It's a future game. Yeah, so according to this, it released December 14th, 2006. So I think it's just it must have just be an error.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense now. But yeah, if you can get it, if you want the English version, you can get it on Xbox 360 or Xbox through Xbox backwards compatibility, because I have seen it on the the Series X store. So you can get it on there, or if you have a Vita, or probably if you have a Vita TV, you can also pick it up if you want to get more into older EDF games.
Yep.
I still haven't finished World Brothers. I haven't gone back to it yet because of that weird character unlocking mechanic. Maybe at some point I will.
I mean, it's just probably a way of padding out the game length.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So if you have nothing else to do in like a quiet month or a week, maybe give it a go.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, a game I'm really excited for. Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC launches October 28th. I kind of don't want to buy it on Switch and do want to buy it at the same time. Like, the main mechanic in the game...
Not a fan of horror games.
No. Like, let me go through this. Like, the main mechanic is holding a camera and then snapping pictures of a ghost. I feel like it's going to scare me so much that I'll end up throwing my Switch across the room because I'll be like, oh, I'm holding it. I'm holding the real camera obscura in real life. And yeah, we'll see. This is by
I tried to play an older one back in the day.
I played
Never finished
the
it.
very first one on PS2. Which was amazing for that time because looking back, the graphics were out of the world for its time. Like it was so amazing, atmospheric, moody, scary. It's such a great time. But I digress. Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater will launch digitally for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam on October 28th, publisher Koei Tecmo announced. A digital deluxe edition will also be available, which includes a copy of the game, digital art book, and 6 costumes inspired from previous characters in the series. Mio Amakura and Rei Kurosawa outfits for Yuri, Mayu Amakura, and 2 Miku Hinasaki outfits for Miu and Kei. Amakura outfit for Ren. Okay. Users who pre-order the game or purchase it within the first 2 weeks of launch will receive a special Ryza costume inspired by the one featured in Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness, and the Secret. So, if I do that, I probably won't take the game seriously because I'm like cosplay as this bubbly JRPG heroine.
Yeah.
You can click on an article for a full breakdown, trailers, and description. Also, there are probably swimsuits or underwear costumes in previous versions of the game, and I just have to wonder why in a horror game. Mm-hmm. But Japan and fan service. So what else is new? Fun fact: there's also like an Ayane mission after launch. Ayana being one of the characters from Dead or Alive and Ninja Gaiden. So something to look forward to. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, I'll definitely play it.
Yeah. Next up, 10 million PS5 systems sold so far worldwide. This is by Jenny Lauda for Siliconera. Sony confirmed the number of PS5 systems sold worldwide so far as of July 18, 2021, even with the digital and standard models often being sold out. Both models combined passed the 10 million mark. It also noticed updates on some of the games also available on the PS5, like Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. With the PS5, we've had quite a few updates going over how the system sold so far. First, Sony confirmed over 118,000 units were sold in Japan between November 12th to the 15th, 2020. In terms of worldwide sales, the last update came in February 2021 and covered sales through December 31st, 2020. Sony then noted 4.5 million systems were sold worldwide between the November 2021 launch at the end of the year. This comes even as a shortage of components means the PS5 could continue to be sold out even in 2022. Yet despite this, Sony noticed it is its fastest selling console. As for the most recent PS5 game sales figures, there were updates on 4 titles that all hit hallmarks. Here's the list of them. Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, over 6.5 million copies sold so far. This is available on the PS4 and PS5. MLB The Show 21, over 2 million copies sold so far. It is available on the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, over 1.1 million copies sold so far. Far Returnal, over 560,000 copies sold so far. I'm curious to see the sales of the Demon Souls remake, since that's the only Japan-related PS5 exclusive I can think of at the moment.
But I think because it's majority
a bit less accessible than those other games.
No, I'm struggling to wrap my head around it because it's for the most part been developed by a Western studio, so I don't think we should count it as Japan.
I think it should be counted because it's a remake of a Japan developed game, so I think we should count it. Look, if we can count Genshin Impact when it wasn't made in Japan, we can count Demon Souls.
When discussing it, sure, but when you get to brass tacks of what it has done and accomplished financial-wise, it's kind of different. I feel.
I guess so.
I feel.
I'm just curious about its sales.
Yeah.
And then next story is still PS5 related about system software and SSD support.
Yeah. So PS5 system software beta version 2.0 -404.00. Okay, whatever. Rolling out adds M.2 SSD support. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Sony Interactive Entertainment has begun to roll out PS5 system software beta version 2.0. Okay, you know, the Nier Automata or Nier Replicant numbers to users in its PS5 system software beta program. The update brings a number of changes, including the long-awaited ability to expand your console storage with an M.2 SSD. You can click on the article for a full breakdown of the listed features. The most important to note with regards to the SSD, it has to be a specific type, PCIe 4.0 M.2 SSD with a capacity of at least 250 gigabytes, up to 4 terabytes maximum. And you're gonna have to install a heatsink to dissipate all that excess energy and heat from the storage.
Right. People are not happy about that.
I get that you just want to put a normal SSD in it and call it a day, but because it's a custom input-output interface, that also comes with extra bells and whistles and extra requirements, and heatsinks are just one of them. Heatsinks are a mainstay in modern electronics, especially electronics that are outputting high-powered visuals. It comes at a cost. It's just physically impossible to have just a normal SSD being in there.
Yeah.
Xbox
is really
come again.
Xbox is really doing a lot better than them on that front, because it's just you take the thing out, you click it in, and then you.
Yes, I know both have trade-offs. The Xbox Series, trade-offs and benefits. The Xbox Series memory card slot method is easy to use, and it's very straightforward. You don't need much in the way of instructions. The PS5 one is kind of complex and tricky if you don't know what you're doing and if you're kind of unfamiliar with the whole setup. But the benefit of normal M.2 SSDs is they will drop in price relatively fast in comparison to the SSD storage expansion of Microsoft, because that's proprietary tech, and because it's proprietary tech, you can ask a higher price, and it's what you're. Yeah, it's difficult. You're gonna have to make a choice. I mean, it's not that both are available on both systems, but when buying one of the next gen consoles or current gen consoles, you're gonna have to factor this into your consideration. And in any case, you could also just hook up an external SSD or hard drive, but without the benefits of the modern consoles. So it's really up to you.
Yeah. I mean, they have a good amount. The Xbox and PS5 have a good amount of internal memory in general.
Yeah.
So unless you're downloading a ton of huge games, and
I think it
shouldn't worry about it too much.
Most people will be deleting Call of Duty Warzone soon, so
I didn't want to say anything about that. But
that's gonna free up some space.
They at least should be.
Well, they don't. They
that.
Shouldn't. They don't have to.
I think they should be.
No, because there are still good people that have worked on the game. So I don't think they should be punished.
I mean,
as a result of what other people have done.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're comfortable deleting the game, then delete the game. If not, you're gonna have to find a workaround.
Yeah. It takes up so much space anyway.
Yeah.
At least from what I've heard, I haven't played like one of those games in years. So
it's probably about 100 to 150 gigs, which is very meaty.
Yeah,
that's a lot of space.
Anyways, yeah. Don't worry too much about. I would think don't worry too much about SSDs and stuff for now. Again, unless you're if you're digital only, maybe. Like, but I would think people who are digital only and download big games have already thought about all that and already have planned for that. You know.
Yeah. If you're like hurting for space,
yeah,
then it's something to consider. But if you're like me and you barely have time to dedicate to one game, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Next up, new Pokemon Snap free content update launches August 3rd, adds new areas and Pokemon. This is by Saruman Frigamatsu. The Pokemon Company will release a free content update for new Pokemon Snap on August 3rd at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, which adds 3 new areas and 20 new Pokemon, the company announced. Here is an overview of the update via the Pokemon Company. Get ready for even more adventures in new Pokemon Snap. Starting August 3rd at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, players with an internet connection can download a free content update that will include beautiful new areas to visit, plus 20 additional Pokemon to discover. 3 stunning new areas will be available to explore. Secret Side Path, day and night. The Neo 1 shrinks to a tiny size when you explore this area, so the Pokemon you see will look gigantic. Kaiju Pokemon. You can even hear their breathing of footsteps in this thrilling area. And you might spot new kinds of behavior from Pokemon you've seen before. Mighty Wide River, day and night. Mighty Wide River is a nurturing water source that provides the whole of Belusilva Island with sustenance. You'll be conducting research as you ride down the river, so be on the lookout for rapids as you search for Pokemon and keep your camera ready so you don't miss capturing them in action. Barren Badlands, day/night. In this area, you'll research the Badlands of Veluca Island, where dry winds from the desert blow. This area has many peculiar features, from geysers to poisonous, gas-spewing swamps. Pokemon may be hiding underground or in the rocky cliffs, so keep your eyes peeled for them while you're on your exposition. Across the 3 new areas, players will find a variety of Pokemon, including those already familiar from players' journey across the Lental region, as well as 20 more Pokemon that couldn't be found before. I think this is a nice surprise.
Yeah. I mean, Nintendo has been pumping out free content pretty regularly at this point.
Although, of course, some Pokemon fans are really dissatisfied, saying like, "Well, why wasn't the Sword and Shield DLC free?" It's like, it's a different developer, it's a completely different game, and
look,
and
if it was possible, all DLC would be free, and we would be enjoying games until the nth degree. But development costs money. Some developers are comfortable with asking money for that work. Some feel like an added bonus is really a service to the player. It all depends. It's be happy.
It's almost like people like this is good news, but then people will spin it to be like, well, this other thing didn't get that, or I was like, it did. Sword and Shield did technically get free content updates.
It did, yes, it did.
Just the DLC expansions weren't, and that's because they're expansions.
Yeah. Oh well.
I'm not saying expansions should or shouldn't cost money. I'm just saying you don't say Pokemon Sword and Shield didn't get free updates when they technically did. It's just a different kind. Anyway, I'm excited for this. I have not finished New Pokemon Snap yet because I've been streaming it with my friend to see his reaction, which is great. And this will be great news for that. I'm not going to tell him. I told him there was an update coming, but I didn't tell him what it was. Oh, it's also not clear how this will unlock. Like if you'll have to be at a certain point in the game, because in New Pokemon Snap the areas unlock after you do a certain amount of things. So I don't know if they'll just be there right after you download the update, or if you'll have to be at a certain point in the game before you can access them, or how it will work. Hopefully it's baked in. It's baked into a part where like maybe you have unlocked as long as you've unlocked an area from a certain area from the base game, then it'll be like, oh, these areas are also unlocked.
I think it's probably gonna be as you expected. Like you log in and there'll be a pop up like, oh, there's a new area and there's new Pokemon to discover. Go have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very excited for this. Even though like New Pokemon Snap has some issues I've talked about before, I still am largely enjoying my time with it.
Yeah. I'm happy that the series has found its resurgence. Yeah. And I think we're not really giving Nintendo the credit for dusting off series this generation. Like, they might not always be the series we want, but they have been really consistent in delivering experiences we weren't expecting. So, I mean, it's a good deal all around. Next up, this actually should have been in the bad-ish news, but here we go. See what I did there? Here we go. Dr. Mario World smartphone game and service in November. This is by Rafael Antonio Pineda for Anime News Network. The official website for Nintendo's Dr. Mario World smartphone game announced on Wednesday that the game will end service on November 1st. As of Wednesday, players can no longer purchase more diamonds, one of the in-game currencies, and there will not be an offline version, although players will be able to look back at your play history in Dr. Mario World Memories, which is a webpage that will become available after the game service. I guess, why not? The game launched in July 2019. The game plays as a match 3 tile clearing game, and players match descending colored pill capsules with similarly colored viruses in the level, attempting to clear all viruses from the level in this way. A bummer for all those fans, but it kind of... I'm still stuck with the question of why don't they put this on the Switch? Like, I get that you want to have unique titles.
You could say that about a lot of most of Nintendo's mobile games.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. So you could argue that having unique experiences on mobile drives people to mobile, but in this case, it it kind of feels like a disappointment that it didn't get the wide enough reach that it could have had. But then again, it might also be that Nintendo didn't support it as much as they could have. Because, interest in a game is also supposed to be shepherded by the creators of the game. Unless you're like comfortable saying, okay, we made a thing, go enjoy it. We'll see you when the next thing comes out.
Yeah.
Oh well. Is there a Dr. Mario game on Nintendo Online? Cause
maybe like the old one, like the original one.
Yeah. So
maybe.
So I think maybe that's some kind of consolation, I guess. But yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I didn't play it, so I can't really say if it's unfortunate.
Exactly.
So, but it's sad to see.
May have not just been. Maybe it wasn't that popular in general.
Yeah, probably.
I know there are other games like Dragalia Lost and Fire Emblem Heroes do pretty well though.
Well, those are gacha games, and gacha games.
That's true. That's true.
Rarely, I shouldn't say rarely go offline because they do, but they have a lot more staying power than any other type of game.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a bummer. And Nintendo will probably hold this over their investors as evidence that they shouldn't be venturing into the mobile space. Like, oh, see, we tried, they didn't like it. But yeah, who knows? I should really get back in. Or I should say I want to get back into Dragalia Lost. Oh well. Yeah, so that was the news of the week. We don't really have a main topic for this week. So if I may, I kind of want to have this spotlight to talk about something I don't really talk about much on the show, which is manga. Because Kodansha...
We're talking about it a little bit.
I mean, when we're covering the news, but I don't really cover manga on the show. Kodansha...
look out for Jason's In From Japan manga cast. No, I'm just kidding.
More like a manga corner of 5 minutes. Kodansha, the publisher, and their online bookstore, Bookwalker, and I think also Comixology, have a bunch of first volumes up for free if you want it. For free. I should stress, free. I don't know what else I should say. But a lot of good titles. There was Parasite, To Your Eternity, Tokyo Revengers. What else? Sweat and Soap, which I really like. What else? A few other niche titles, but a solid selection actually. There's also the popular Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, which I'm really conflicted about because it's about a high schooler who has an underclassman, a girl, who teases him. And that's the whole premise of the story. And they kind of like each other. So there's that romantic tension between them. But I feel like there was a certain amount of controversy when the anime was about to premiere. Because a lot of people interpreted it as bullying. And fans of the property were, as always, being fans of the property and being quite vocal about their how displeased they were with that assertion. But I can see both sides. Like, if you interpret the way they are presenting their feelings, then yes, there is some growing affection between the characters. But if you look at the behavior exhibited, then you can also say this is kind of problematic, because if someone is uncomfortable, I don't think the best way to interact with that person is to shove that discomfort in their face, because that's not a good recipe for a good relationship. I'll tell you that. Like, respect people's boundaries. In short,
exactly. That's a huge thing.
Especially these days when all the Activision Blizzard stuff is coming out. So,
like, always respect people's boundaries. You want to make sure people are not made uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You don't want to make people...
Like, you as a guy... I have been guilty of this in the past, where I thought, oh, I'm being playful and maybe flirty, quote unquote, but
right,
you have to, like, take a step back and think about how a girl or a woman interprets that.
Like I said, self-reflection, consideration.
Yeah, exactly. You have to,
listening to others.
You have to view the situation from the other person's perspective, and that can be very beneficial in your life. Trust me.
Exactly.
It's something I've learned a lot from. So when I read the manga, I was like, it's kind of cute, kind of distressing. Your mileage may vary, but the one I really wanted to talk about is Sweat and Soap. It's a manga about a fragrance company, and
that already sounds like
it gets weirder, because it centers around I think it's one of the it's a woman that works in the company, and she sweats profusely. It's just a thing her body does, and some people are just like that, and they have no way of controlling it. I think it's called hydrotosis. I should really look that up. My dad, with his medical degree, would whack me across the head. Let's see. Excessive sweating. What's the name again? Hyperhidrosis. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a thing. People have a lot of discomfort with it and are very self-conscious about it because of how other people might perceive that in social interactions. Like, oh, that person's sweating a lot. Gross. That kind of thing. I think Barbara Dunkelman of Rooster Teeth recently opened up about it, where she said she had really sweaty hands and she was undergoing surgery for that to correct it.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was Barbara Dunkelman.
I didn't know you could get surgery for that.
You can get surgery for that, but I would, caution, go talk to a medical expert about this. And if you have this condition, please consult your doctor about this. So there's this woman who has that condition. And to compensate for that, because she works in a fragrance company, she just uses all the shampoos and deodorant and perfumes the company offers. But that leads to her body scent becoming this particular mix, and that attracts the nose of one of the top executives in the company who comes up with these fragrances, and he's like super intoxicated, pun intended, with this lady's particular scent. And you think from that description alone it's going to be kinky and weird and maybe not safe for work, but it's a very grounded, very relatable romantic dynamic they have going on. And that really surprised me, because in manga it can go quickly in two ways: either super very not safe for work, or super weird. So to have something that's a middle ground and very mature in how it approaches relationships and sexuality, it's very refreshing. And I'd really recommend people read about it, or read the first volume. I will say, however, there is one instance of the main male protagonist being too forward, which again, considering all the things we have discussed this week and what you have seen in the gaming news sphere this week, we really have to be aware of how we treat other people, because body autonomy is a very important thing, and you do not want to cross that boundary unless someone is comfortable with that. So consent is important. Ask, talk about it. Don't assume. Talk about it. And if we have any young men listening to this, I repeat, talk about it. Consent is important. Make that one of your...
Make sure to listen.
Yeah,
have empathy. Empathy is very important.
Yeah, it's not...
It's a good thing to have.
It's not empathy because...
Well, there is a part
no,
of it.
I want to say it's not empathy in the vein of saying, you have to be considerate because people are weaker. Like, no, it's not... It's not a matter of people being weaker or stronger, but being safe in social settings, being safe in your own body, being safe in the company of others, and that's a very important thing. And
making other people feel safe.
Yeah, because
helping make other people feel safe.
Like, you want to feel good about yourself, and other people want to feel good about themselves, and it takes a lot of give and take between companies and people involved, and it's a lot to consider. And you might think, like, I'm speaking general sense, you might think it's scary and you should like hold back and not do anything. It's an extra step of being careful and considerate, that's all. But yeah, that's been my manga and anime corner of the week. Maybe it'll become a recurring segment on the show where I talk about about manga and anime and other stuff that's not like strictly game related or in the sphere of what we like to talk about.
I mean, we already do talk about manga and anime, but
but mostly like tokusatsu and video game related. But yeah, that's been it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it for this week.
Yeah, thank you for listening. It's of course. It's been a eventful week, all things considered, but
it's been sorry that the episode had leaned into kind of heavy stuff, but it needs to be talked about. It's a thing that needs to be discussed.
It's important. But thank you for listening. This has been Jason. This has been Erroll. We'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay clean, stay healthy. Wash your hands, play video games, be kind to each other, be considerate. Consent is important. I feel like we're going to turn into an after school special after like 10 minutes, but
or wash your hands, wear a mask, get vaccinated, please.
If you can. And we'll see you next week.
Yep. Matinee.